Steve. My name is Jennifer Sterling, and I met you a couple of years back in Palm Springs when you were first running for the Department of Insurance. I have worked in the schools forever as a volunteer, as many of these women have, as a PTA president and such, so we know the struggles. And then such, I've been in the Department of Insurance as an insurance broker. So I do appreciate the effort that you have made. My question is in regard to prisoners. I had my daughter involved in a tragic act of violence, 15 years old, in Villa Park. Guy came that Sunday morning after church, stabbed her in front of the donut shop. The gentleman had only been out of jail 7 days. He already had 2 strikes. He had done his stint with mental illness, crying since he was 16, 49 years old. I've been to court 17 times, and we still don't have him convicted. He was caught with the weapon. 3 dads held him down. I don't understand. I don't think anybody, I vote every time, I don't think anybody would know how much taxpayers, I mean, I'm now that he's not convicted.
Is there a question?
But my tax dollars, every single day I get there at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, today's the day. They're going to finally, you know, I just don't understand. We're spending a lot of time on prisoners and letting them out and their medical condition and providing them with medical. But this whole judicial system, it's broken.
Yeah, good points, and I hope your daughter's
She's great.
doing fine. Okay, so here are my views on the judicial system and prison reform, because it is a mess.
Hold the mic up.
First of all, when it comes to judges, you know, the governor in California is so much more powerful than people fully appreciate because of all the appointments that the governor makes. I'm just telling you right now, I'm not going to appoint a judge that doesn't believe in strict law and order and a strict, interpretation of the Constitution. I don't want any, people trying to legislate from the bench. And so my appointments are going to be people who believe in those core conservative principles, and that'll make a big difference. So just real quick on prison reform, though, our prisons are massively overcrowded. And one reason why sometimes it's hard to get these terrible people in prison more quickly is because everything is slowed down because the prisons are so overcrowded. Now, what I'd like to do, 2 things. One is, honestly, we've built 1 new prison in about, over a decade. Our per capita incarceration rate is at the national average. And we do need more prisons to lock away these bad people. I wouldn't let anybody out to deal with the overpopulation, the overcrowding problem. If you've done a crime, you're gonna stay there until you're done serving your sentence, absolutely, for sure. So we need more prisons in order to accommodate. That way, the bad people need to go to jail and stay there. And I'm a big believer in 3 strikes and you're out, for sure.
Steve, do you have a position on health care for the state?
Yeah, health care. So I am not a fan of what the president's doing at all. Scary, actually. Totally the wrong direction. The last thing we need is to spend another $1 trillion on some kind of method to reduce the cost of health care. Unfortunately, the president and his supporters are just misguided about it. And to create another federal bureaucracy to get involved in the lives and involved in your health care decision making is a big mistake. Instead, I do support really addressing what I consider to be the biggest problem in health care, and that's the rising expenses, the rising costs. Now, I've launched a series of initiatives as health insurance commissioner, and made some progress. For example, medical records. Now, my wife has gone through a lot of medical treatments, and she's given me permission to talk about it. She's had breast cancer and open heart surgery. But it was really interesting to see all the treatments. Her oncologist couldn't communicate with her general practitioner or a surgeon. We need an electronic medical record. 90% of all medical records in California are paper-based with privacy protection. And I also believe we've got to go after Medicare fraud and Medicaid fraud is huge, and we've got to crack down on the billions that we waste there. Those kinds of things will help contain costs. And I also believe in more competition in the health insurance markets. We should allow people to buy health insurance across state lines. That would increase the level of competition. I've been trying to get a question in.
Yeah. Everything you say is just, you're right on. But the thing is, to do it, that's a problem. And the problem we have, because because I can see it. If I go to the motor vehicle and I want one of those handbooks, for study, they don't have it in English. They have it in every one of the languages. And I say, yeah, what is the official language here? We are in English, right? Are we or not?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then you have, 12 million illegals. They sneak in from different countries. I hate to say this, but maybe people don't like it. But the thing is, that's one of the biggest problems. If a person is not legal in the country and he came in and he stays or he crossed the river, whatever, the thing is, he broke the law. And when they break the law, just like you said before, with the criminals, they let them out.
Yeah, okay, so I get your question. Okay, let's talk about...
Freeway, what happens? You can't even drive because people don't have it in.
I get you. Let me say...
I'm paying for no false insurance.
Let me talk about illegal immigration, because I bet who wants to hear about illegal immigration? That's another issue that a lot of politicians won't talk about. We have to. Okay, so my views on illegal immigration, at least for me, got cemented when I was working in the White House in the National Security Council, and I was there during the whole 9/11 crisis, and I got to tell you, our southern border is a huge national security risk. Now, the Al-Qaeda cell that we recently broke up here in the United States, some of those folks absolutely came through our southern border. So let me just be clear about what I would do as governor when it comes to illegal immigration. Now, it's a federal issue, but if the federal government doesn't step up to it, then I will do what it takes to secure the borders. I will send the National Guard to the border if I have to. I'll send the California Highway Patrol to the border if I have to. I'll send leisure rural residents to the border if I have to. Let me just finish. Now, when it comes to legal immigration, well, there I got to tell you, I'm a big supporter. Now, legal immigration is a good thing for California, but it has to be legal immigration, not illegal immigration. But we just have a few more questions in the back.
Thank you, Steve. And I'm a former board member in Westminster School District, so when you addressed education at the beginning, and when I dealt with those barracudas in closed session, I totally understand what you're talking about. And one comment, just so we all recall that when Abraham Lincoln said, today's education, important, is tomorrow's government, and we're already there with the state in California. But my one question I want to ask you, because your opponent wasn't really keen on offshore drilling, I understand. You're a Republican opponent, and that really took me back a little bit. How do you feel about with the oil situation and being independent about offshore drilling?
It's just urgent.
That's what I was.
It's urgent. We need to become energy independent. We're so dependent right now on petro dictators from the Middle East. Very dangerous from a national security perspective. So I do support more offshore drilling. We actually don't need any more platforms. There's very modern, sophisticated slant drilling technology that's very environmentally safe that would allow us to significantly increase our oil drilling and production here in California. We've got to do that. But I also believe in other types of energy generation, nuclear power, for example. Now, Jerry Brown, I'm going to be running as Jerry Brown. When he was governor last time, 30 years ago, he's the one who stopped, the building of more nuclear power plants and more freeways, and he's the one who had the whole Rosebud death penalty situation and kind of messed up the court system in a pretty significant way. Now, with regards to my opponent, maybe some of you might have a question of how I compare and contrast, but we'll see if I get a question on that. Go ahead.